Peace and blessings and namaste to all light warriors, workers, and everything in between. It is I, Sophie, today, and this transmission is going to be a little different, and I want you to bear with me because this is my first time trying to do this. And basically what I'm doing today is, as opposed to doing a whole bunch of videos addressing some of the email questions that I've received, I've decided to condense them into this one little video. I took the notes and I summarized the questions because I didn't want to say what the questions was outright directly, just in case somebody's watching it and it might be familiar. Okay, so there's a little trickery that I'm doing here, but at the same time, I have 5 questions that I want to attempt to answer today for the Divine Feminine. Okay, now the first question that I came across has to deal with a cannabis addiction. Okay, and this Divine Feminine is saying she wants to know what to do with her husband or her masculine that has a cannabis addiction. All right. Now, the way that I'm going to answer this is I'm not going to give you the flat out answer to that situation because I don't know that much of the details of that situation. The only thing that I can say to you is anything that is done in excess, of course, is not healthy. All right. But the most important thing about it is how does the cannabis affect? Okay. There are some people who will use cannabis in their meditations. You know, they'll use cannabis to tap in. They'll use cannabis as a way of escapism. You know, they'll use cannabis just to raise their vibration. You know, if you're a silly or jovial person, sometimes you might eat cannabis just so you can laugh and joke and just be in high spirits. Okay. So the question is, how is it affecting you and how is it affecting your relationship? Okay. I already expressed how I felt about cannabis in a few videos back. And basically what I was saying is it depends on the vibration. Okay. A pure cannabis from the earth, if it is vibrating higher than you, okay, or if it has a high vibration to itself and you start to use it, it can take you and it can help you on your meditations. It really can. And as long as it is done in moderation, you shouldn't have too much problems with it. However, if the plant itself is lower, okay, and you're vibrating or your husband is vibrating higher than the plant, then what it does is it will kind of dumb them down a little bit. Okay, so they'll get the negative aspects of it. They'll get the paranoia or the laziness or the eating, you know, overeating or just being zombified and stuff like that. So you have to make the decision on whether or not his behavior is affecting himself in your relationship and his decision making. If it is affecting his relationship, your guys' relationship, and his decision making to the point that he can't make righteous decisions, then there's a way that you might want to address that, okay? And you don't want to address it in a manner that is accusatory. You know, you don't want to address it like pointing fingers or giving them the vibration of shame, okay? But you could say something to give them a comparison of their behavior from when they're not versus when they are, okay? And when you present that type of evidence, like, okay, this was a decision that you made on cannabis and this is what the outcome of it versus this is a decision when you're level-headed, and I need you level-headed right now. I need you level-headed because we got a lot of things to do, and I need to be able to depend and count on you. Okay, just talk to them. Use your feminine energy. Okay, use your divine feminine and get it done. Get it done. But cannabis itself has been used in a lot of religious ceremonies. I personally don't have a problem with it or being around it or people who's using it. And I have used it before, you know, a few times, especially in chocolates, like in edibles and stuff like that. But I also pay attention to how it affects me. Okay, and if it starts freaking me out, I'm not going to use it. Okay, so that's how you deal with that. Okay, have a heart to heart. Okay, but not in a matter where, you know, you want them to feel bad about it. Okay, even if it comes down to if he's not making the best decisions or it's becoming a hindrance in your relationship, it could just be the strain too. If this is something that he wants, okay? Or just tell him, hey, why don't we do this on the weekends? Cut it down a little bit, okay? But this is a conversation that you're going to have with your DM, and you're going to have to show, okay, with evidence that what he is doing is not healthy for that relationship, okay? I hope that helped a little bit. All right, okay, now we have one. Manipulation. There's a divine feminine that her spouse has been given or been presented with 3 opportunities, 3 career choices, all right? She's seeing one as an opportunity to get them completely on their fresh start. She thinks it's going to be better for the family. She thinks it's going to be better for the household altogether, but he is going in the opposite direction that she's just seeing is going to be a failure, okay? They will have to move again. She don't feel like doing that, uprooting the family and their military, okay? And she wants to know what's the best way to manipulate this situation so that he can see things in her favor, all right? And here's the question, the answer to that question to you. First of all, we don't want to manipulate. We want to charm instead, all right? Now you're going to say, what's the difference? Manipulation and charming, okay, is both trying to paint a picture or create a perspective that the other person wouldn't normally look at, all right? And even if it's for their better good, okay, or it's the best decision, when you manipulate, that person later on, even if they agrees with you, okay, even if you get them to do it, that person later on kind of knows that they've been manipulated, okay, because it wasn't really agreeable to them at that point. And after it's done, whatever it is that you got them to do, when they sit back and think about it, they may feel manipulated, and that becomes disagreeable to them. Okay, so what I would say to you, as opposed to manipulation or trying to paint a picture, to try to persuade an outcome or change a perception or perspective of a matter, try charming instead. And what I mean by charming is when you charm, there is no backlash. Okay, because when you're charming somebody to do something, they want to do it, so they don't feel manipulated. So if you need an example, okay, I got one. You drop something on the floor, all right? You don't feel like getting down to pick it up, okay? He's already standing there, he's close to it, but he's not in the best moods with you right now. And you know that if you say, hey, can you get that for me? He's gonna be like, why can't you get it yourself, right? Okay, now, you can try to manipulate the situation and say something like, my back hurts, or, I sprained my ankle, and this, that, and the third, to make them feel like they have to or they're obligated to do it, which they will do it for you, okay, once you go through that process. But trust me, they're going to think about it when they go in there, and they're going to be like, you're right, she's just manipulated me into doing this, okay? But when we learn how to charm, okay, we switch it so that they want to do it and they don't feel manipulated, because we're just kind of molding the mind a little bit, okay? So the second thing would be, it's on the floor, you don't want to go down and get it, he's not feeling you right now, when he might be in one of his little moods or whatnot, and you could say something like, you got the cutest butt. You got the cutest little butt. Why don't you grab that for me? Do you see the difference? Now, you just kind of appealed to his ego, all right? So now you done told him, you done complimented him about his booty. He wants to show it to you. You've charmed him. You've got your outcome, and everybody's happy, okay? So we don't want to practice manipulation, all right? Because a person who is being manipulated knows that they're being manipulated. But if you learn how to be charming, you learn how to be charming instead, then you'll see that you'll get the things that you want a lot quicker, okay? All right, now, what does this one go? Oh, okay. The last two questions I'm going to kind of sum up together because they're very similar. And it has to deal with keeping the man's attention, being sexy as a divine feminine. Should we be openly sexy, right? Or, how do we keep the attention going in our unions, right? As a divine feminine, you absolutely can be sexy. You absolutely can be. And you can have as much fun as you want to. But the difference is it's reserved to your bedroom. Okay? It's reserved for your mate. It is reserved for the person that you are giving this energy exchange to. All right? Divine feminine, in our new earth, you're going to have to really start learning how to teach men how to treat you. Do you understand? If enough women set standards, then you will see that the men will follow through. Okay? The reason why they're not following through with your standards is because you have a lot of divine feminines, but you also have distorted feminines. All right? And what happens is, if you're setting standards and boundaries and things like that, but Shanae is not, and there's a whole group of Shanaes, you tend to find yourself on the losing end of the stick. All right? I want you to watch a movie called Memoirs of a Geisha. All right? And this is a very strong divine feminine principle. Yes, we can be sexy, but we operate more in sensuality. And there is a difference, okay? When we're out in public, when we're around people, when we're trying to allure, okay? When we're trying to be alluring or desirable in the eyes of our mate, you can do it through being just sexy, or you can do it by being sensual. So in the Memoirs of the Geisha, the geishas back then, and I love this movie. But the geishas back then, they were being trained to entertain a lot of gentlemen. But it wasn't just like a brothel, like a sexual type of thing. They had to be learned women, okay? They had to carry themselves a certain way. They had to be able to hold conversations with different businessmen from all around the world in politics and business and money. So they were educated women. But the one thing that they were always taught was a true geisha can stop a man in his tracks with one glimpse of the eyes, okay? You don't have to be overtly sexy or sensual to attract a man if you understand the art of seduction and subtlety, all right? So, in the Memoirs of a Geisha, they were showing the women how to use their eyes. It does not matter what color they are or how long your lashes is. It's about the intention. It's the energy that's being sent out. All right? So, for instance, there's somebody that you are attracted to, and you are trying to get their attention. Or say somebody's trying to set you up on a blind date or something, and you see the guy, you like the guy, okay? What are you going to do, divine feminine? Hi, how you doing? I am such and such and such and such. Is that necessary? No. But this one little thing can do it, and I've worked it for years. And I'm giving this to you because it is so much power and subtlety, all right? It's called the glance. All right, look at this. You start off down, poised, okay? They're being introduced to you, upwards, down. Very simple, okay? If they're talking to you, hi, my name is such and such and such and such and such. Hi, do you see? It's all about the language. Okay? And you don't have to do too much, all right? What you really want is that mystery that's going around that makes that man want to know more about you. And teach him to want to learn and study you before he decides to try to sleep with you, all right? You need that You need that because in this new earth, we want to preserve our bodies. Our bodies are going to be perfected, okay? So you want to keep your soul clean, your energy clean, you know? And you want the men to be curious about what it is that you stand for, okay? Curious about you. Curious about what you got going on. Curious about your energy. And that's the simple way to draw them. It doesn't have to be profound, okay? Very simple. Now, if you're already doing eye contact, and you look away, see, that gives off a different energy. That gives off an energy that you might be disinterested. But if you're maintaining eye contact and he says something that you like and you go, thank you. See? Simple. Simple, dear. Be the queens and the empresses that you are, okay? Make them work for it, all right? They want you, make them work for it. All right, now, sexy, yeah, sexy versus sensual. All right, so here we go. So we want to be sexy, right? We want to be sexy. We want to role play or whatever it is that you guys got going on in your life. It's none of my business unless I make it my business. But, and I am making it my business now because you asked me the question. Okay, so when we're dealing with sensuality versus sexuality, okay, sexiness deals more with the physical, you know, it's more with the sight, okay? It's more drawing from the lustful aspect of it, okay? So the man sees you, you are desirable. The first thing that's coming in his mind is, I've got to have her. I have got to have her, right? But when he's saying, I've got to have her, in what manner is he saying he has to have her? Is he saying, I got to have you as a wife? Or is he saying, I got to have you in the bed? Okay, sensuality and sexuality are different, all right? If you're sexy, he's got to have you, okay? Sexually. If you're sensual, he wants to feel you intimately, okay? And you don't want to give out that much of intimacy until he has learned you, okay? You need to learn your partners, okay? And start teaching these men how you want to be treated. Please. And go back to honoring yourselves. Please. It's necessary in the kingdom because we want these families. We want these divine unions, okay? We want the loves that we deserve, okay? But you can't just give it away. You have to make them work for it. Sensuality, being sensual, okay? And what do we mean by sensual? Dealing with the senses, the touch, the smells, the romance, just wanting to be in your energy, the intimacy, right? That's the part that you want to go for. You don't want his mind going to, oh, she's going to be bad in bed. You know what I mean? Screw all of that. You want his mind to go to, what would it be like to build with you? What would it be like to wake up to you? What would it be like to have dinner with you? Go on adventures with you. That's the mindset that you want, okay? So if he starts coming across too strong, nip it in the bud. Nip it in the bud. If he's already talking underneath your dress, nip it in the bud. Slow down. I need you to slow down. Better yet, calm down. Calm him down, right? And just tell him, I'm in a season right now. I would love to get to know you, you know? I would love to get to know you and be, you know, and establish this type of bond. But access to me right now is off limit because I don't know who you are and what you carry. Do you understand? Make them interested in you here and here, right? Before. All right? Teach them. Teach them. Teach them that you are divine feminine and you need to be honored and respected. And at the same token, you will return that honor and respect and elevate them, right? Absolutely. All right, so that's what we want to focus on. Okay, we want to learn eyes. We want to learn, movements. We want to be sensual. We want to be subtle, we want to have a lot of fun. A lot of fun. All right, now, I saved this one for last because this is a very heavy one, and I'm not quite sure if I'm the best person to give advice on this one. All right, so I'm just going to pull from the energy of divine knowing. Okay, let me deal with this one. This one is dealing with a husband that has been bisexual or had bisexual tendencies. And she doesn't feel as if when they are engaging with one another that he is fully being satisfied. And she feels like he's playing it off and doing a cover story. But behind the scenes, he's not really getting what he needs. All right, divine feminine. This one is hard because it can go one or two ways. And there's so many factors surrounding this. All right. So the first thing we want to address is, do you think or do you feel that this behavior is agreeable to this man or disagreeable to this man? Okay. And that's going to make the difference in how you're going to address it. Is it agreeable or disagreeable? Now you're going to say it's obviously agreeable because he's doing it, but that's not necessarily the case. There are some people who are driven to do things that they actually hate and they can't understand it. Okay. And typically this disagreeable part of them may have been exposed to something, okay, in their younger days, or may have experimented with something. And when they did that, it kind of shifted the energetic field. Okay, that's the best way that I can say it. And you're also going to have to figure out if this man is on the receiving end or the pitching end. Men who go through traumatic experiences like this, okay? Say they were molested when they were young, okay? Say they were on the receiving end of it, all right? And say this may have gone on for a while. And say they're finally, but they know that this is not what they want, okay? They know that they want a family. They're attracted to women, okay? But say the very first sexual experience that was pleasurable didn't come from a woman, okay? And if he's on the receiving end of that, there are certain nerve endings in the rectum that can't be duplicated, that when it comes down to that intimacy, this is uncomfortable in case you haven't noticed, but this is my job, so I'm trying to be brave. Let's put it like this. The certain nerve endings in the back that can actually cause, an ejaculation, okay? And they hate themselves for it, okay? Or they feel bad every time that they do this. This is someone that this behavior is disagreeable to them, even though they're still drawn to do it. And they're drawn to do it because that energy attached to them at a very young age, okay? So they took on more of a feminine principle. They became the receiver. Pay attention. This is important, okay? And if they're worth fighting for, you have to figure out how to transmute the energy so that they feel comfortable being the giver again. All right? That is the hardest out of all of them. If they were a giver, that was a lot easier to dismiss. But if they were on the receiving end of it, chances are there's a lot of psychology, psychological damage, okay? Rewiring needs to take place, okay? You're really going to need the divine with this, okay? Because you have to transmute the energy so that they're not operating from a receiving end, and they tap into their masculine principle, and you switch it so that they go back into the giving end. All right? Once they're stuck in the receiving end, it becomes imbalanced a little bit when dealing with you. You can partner with the divine to find a way to cleanse that sacral and root chakra, okay? And open up the heart chakra. But you need to talk to them, and they need to be willing to open up to you, all right? Now, on the flip side of that, you have those that's on the agreeable end. Walk away, okay? You're not going to be able to deal with that, okay? If the fact is that they are agreeable to this lifestyle, they enjoy it, they don't feel bad about it, this is just who they are, you're not going to be able to change that. They're going to have to change themselves, okay? Or they'll have to come to an understanding that maybe they don't want this, or they just live their life that way. But you can't change anybody. They have to want to change themselves. All right. So, one, you could possibly fight. One, you can possibly fight. It will take a lot of hard work. And it's really going to depend on you, divine feminines, if you think this masculine is worth it. Okay? It's so easy sometimes to walk away from things. They're disgusting when you feel like they're disgusting to you. But if you don't have the understanding of why, okay, how did these things come about? See, we as divine feminines, we learn to tackle things from the root, okay? We don't deal with the symptoms. We deal with the problem, all right? You have to talk to him in a manner that he has to feel comfortable. He has to feel comfortable and safe with you enough to tell you that some of these things is what he is struggling with. He has to be comfortable enough to tell you how they came about and why. Okay? You have to be supportive enough to be understanding when that happens. And you have to see it from its root. What happened? See? Because a lot of our masculines don't like to discuss these things. A lot of them don't get healed. I think that that's about all. The threesomes, the sexual groupings, the escapades, you have to find a way to present the fact that it is working contrary to their greater good. Do you understand? Showing them how it is affecting them, their energy, how it's affecting you. And you have to be honest, and he has to be honest with you. And you have to ask him, do you think that these are urges that you can dismiss, or are they deep-rooted? Will this be a problem? And if they admit that to you, and you want them still, it's up to you. You can walk away. But if you decide that you still want them, then you're going to have to do some very deep cleaning. Okay? Sacral, root, solar plexus too. Okay? And you're definitely going to have to partner with the divine. You're going to need some power in this because a rewiring needs to take place and a cleansing needs to take place. If this is disagreeable to him, but he's still engaging in it, then it's self-torture It's torturous to him. He doesn't like it. But he doesn't know how to stop it. All right? That's where you come in, Divine Feminine. You have been gifted with so many gifts and talents that you may or may not have all been awakened to. But the biggest gift that you have is your heart and your love and your principle of wisdom and understanding. When you're dealing with somebody that has addictions or issues, any type of, because we all have something, okay? Everybody is struggling with something. Don't let them fool you. Don't let people fool you into thinking that they all got it together. I don't even have it all together. I'm still struggling with things too. You know what I mean? But the key to your healing is admission. The key to anybody's healing is admission. So you must always know that you have a problem. And once you start to admit that you have a problem, now, then, and only then, will you be ready to address it. That's all I have to say. Thank you for the email questions. If there are any other questions, you can put them in the comments or you can email me at dragonlotusms@yahoo.com. And I will be more than happy to help you the best way that I can. We got this, Divine Feminine. I know it's a struggle. And Divine Masculines, we are so proud of you. Just keep on moving, okay? Keep on working on yourselves. All of us are going to get through this. I am Sophie, and I love you all. Bye.